You are now tuned into the Property Management Show with your host, Alex Sosinenko. We bring you the experts of today so you can be the master of tomorrow in all things property management. Whether it's getting more doors, running a profitable fee-based business, or by simply being the best property manager. Grab a pen and paper because this episode is sure to be a good one. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 35. Gee, it's the show's almost as old as I am in years and numbers. But I have an excellent guest and we have an excellent topic today. And we're going to dig deep into understanding how to build great relationships with the right owners, talk about the customer journey roadmap. And I have a guest today, Marc Cunningham. Marc is an awesome property management entrepreneur. He is an educator, he is a speaker, he is a coach, he's a founder of propertyManagementSystems.org. I'm going to ask Marc to tell his story a little bit, introduce himself, and we'll dig right into the topic. Hey Marc, how are you?
Great, Alex. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good to have you. So tell us a little bit about your story. How did you end up being where you are today with running a successful property management shop, running a successful consulting? What else do you do?
Besides that, I just raise my kids, play with the kids, and keep my wife happy. So between those three things, I'm doing well.
Gotcha. Yeah, very good.
But I grew up in the property management world. My dad started Grace Management in 1978. So I literally grew up in the property management world, in the real estate world. So he had me, pulling weeds, mowing lawns, serving notices, painting doors, everything a kid probably shouldn't do. He had me doing because I was free child labor and it worked out well for him. So, but it gave me a unique view into the real estate property management world. So I would spend my summers as a kid coming into his office a little bit, working around here. And then as I got into high school, I'd work here part-time in the summers. And I went to Colorado State University. I actually studied finance and real estate. So I double majored up there and worked for a couple other property management companies. I was just always interested in it. And I graduated from that. I was working up in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I got a call from my dad one day. This is about 20 years ago now. I got a call from my dad one day, and he said, "Hey, I just picked up a big property, and I need to hire a new property manager. The job's yours if you want it." So I jumped on that. At that point in time, when I came over here, when we're in Denver, that's where we're located, there were three of us in the office. So at that point, we had three of us. It was 20 years ago. So our growth has been slow and steady. So today we've got a team of 18 folks, and we manage upwards of 600 doors. We do sales, we do residential, we do commercial, we buy, we sell, and we follow the opportunity. That's
really nice. So you have complementary businesses bolted on top of your portfolio or around your portfolio to make A, full customer experience, and B, also revenue yourself from all those auxiliary businesses.
Exactly. We're big on ancillary business services, so we never want to say no. If an owner wants us to do whatever they want us to do, we want to figure out a way for a cost, usually, to say yes and make that work because we want to provide a high value to our customers. So our property management is just the base for everything else we do. So that's really taken off into sales. I know some PM companies sell and some don't. For many, many years we didn't, but we cut onto that. That's been wonderful. We love doing that. So we've got a whole sales side of things going that way.
What is it, Marc? Sorry, but I'm just curious. I think this is exactly the right way to do it. I think sales is a natural outcome. I mean, they'll push you into sales. You can resist or you could just do it. What is the percentage of your revenue, top line revenue, coming from sales versus property management? What would you say the breakdown is?
So from property, well, first let me answer. So from property management fees were 50%. So 50% of our revenue is property management fee. So 50% is non-management. I would estimate from sales, it's of the 50%, it's probably 20% maybe of our total revenue is sales.
And how many people do you have? Do you have people dedicated to? I'm sorry, we're deviating a bit, but I'm really interested in this. I think our audience would be too. How many people you have dedicated to sell real estate?
Yeah, great question. So we give our property managers two different hats they can wear. So we've got a team of property managers. We've got eight PMs, and our PMs can either be PM only, all they do is property management, or they can step into a secondary role, which is primarily property management and then secondarily sales. Meaning that if your owner client comes to you and says, hey, I want to sell, they can be the agent for that transaction. All of our agents are licensed real estate agents here in our office. Our property managers are, so they can sell from a legal standpoint. Now, in order to do that, they've got to prove themselves to us. We've got to kind of green light that, and then they're going to pay us a desk fee, in essence, for the right to sell, because we want them going out there and helping those clients buy and sell. But we know they have the relationship with the owner. So when the owner says, gosh, my tenant moved, maybe I just want to sell, we should be selling that property every time. And they have the relationship with that property manager. So half of our property managers have that ability to sell to those. The ones that don't have that ability to sell, we have somebody in-house who is our kind of our president of real estate sales, and those leads then go to him, and he tries to close those deals down. Because we do want to use our abilities to help our owners buy and sell both.
Yeah, I mean, there are investors who are acquiring properties. There are people who need to sell properties. Why would you give away that opportunity? I mean, unless you had a realtor referral that you promised to give back, which understandably you have to, at least do your job there. But other than that, it's 20% of revenue. That's huge, man.
We sent them away for many years, and finally we thought, well, this is silly. Why are we doing this? Especially with the sales market as hot as it is right now. This is a great time for property managers to capitalize on that. There's very little reasons not to be doing that.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. So let's get back to working with the right owners, because honestly, Mark, you probably would not be able to do that, and your property managers won't be able to take on the sales hat or to wear a sales hat if all they did is fought fires all day long, right? When you work for the wrong owners, right? When you have the owners that don't fit your business model, you're fighting fires, you're being reactive, everybody's burning out. We talked about burnout, you and I, just before this recording, but what I see personally, and just validate this for me, you've done some consulting, so you may be able to validate this. I see personally, I see within my consulting and my client practice, I see a difference of up to 30 basis points in profitability between people managing the right portfolio of owners and the wrong portfolio of owners. We're talking about, so if you make $1 million in revenue, some of my companies that I work with make 400,000 bottom line, 400K, and some make 50. And a lot of it has to do with, working with the right owner. So, Mark, what is the first step a property management business owner would need to take to sort of assess themselves and go after the right kind of client? How would they do that?
So, and I agree with everything you just said. I think that people are doing that. From a big perspective, our concept is this. Do you want every tenant, I'm talking tenants now, every tenant that comes in the door, every applicant, do you want to work with that applicant? And every property manager would say, no, of course not. I've got to qualify my applicants. I need to turn half of them away because they're going to be crazy. They're going to be nutty. So I would follow that up, and I would assume, from what we've seen, that a significant portion of those owners you also do not want to work with. You need to qualify your owners, not exactly in the same way, but you need to be qualifying your owners actually even more so than you qualify a tenant. If a tenant goes crazy, you don't renew your lease, you get them out. If an owner goes crazy or you have an issue with an owner, that's when it can get messy and hairy and legal issues. So you absolutely, for the success and the sanity of your business, need to create a system that you put your owners through to determine if they're going to be a good fit with you or not. And we use that word a lot in our office, fit. Is this owner a good fit for our system? And so it's not a right or wrong. It's not like we don't like them or they don't like us. It's just not a good fit because we have a very specific business model. We particularly, we want to work with hands-off owners. We want those owners who, at the end of the day, are going to say, hey, do your job. I trust you guys. Our best owners are the ones that say, do what you do. If the property burns to the ground, call me. Otherwise, I don't want to hear from you. Love those owners. That's what I want. That's what I want. And there are those owners out there. The challenge comes as you grow, as you do more and more marketing, you attract a wider range of individuals. So you've got to tighten up your filter, tighten up your funnel. And I think you do that through your website. You can do that through marketing and obviously through the interview questions with those prospective owners as they're walking in the door.
It's good. It's good. Actually, that's a perfect segue to talk about the interview process. I think you have a very specific methodology for the interview process, and I looked at it and I watched it on. You have a YouTube video on it, and we'll link it out here. And I was like, wow, man, that methodology, like, Mark stole it from me. And then I'm realizing, like, that's just no way. Like, it's not listening is not my own prerogative. Like, I've picked it up from somewhere else. I'm like, there's no way. But Mark and I think exactly the same way. That's more like it, because a lot of people teach just all kinds of sales techniques, and very few people put emphasis on listening. I think that's sort of part of your approach to the owner interview, right? Or am I not getting it right?
No, that is exactly right. So when that owner calls into our office, we start that, rather than start the conversation off excited, like, oh, we got a lead, let's close the lead, because that's what most companies do. And in a lot of companies, you just have to do that, especially when you're smaller. But we want to walk into that initial conversation skeptical. We want an eyebrow raised. We need to determine whether or not this is going to be a good fit. And we start with the end in mind. So what I mean by that is, when a call comes into the office, whether I'm taking that call from a prospect or one of my property managers is talking to them, they have a pre-printed owner questionnaire, we call it. It's an internal doc, but it's an owner questionnaire. And by the end of that conversation, that property manager needs to be able to fill out this owner questionnaire, and it has a number of specific questions, and I'll be happy to go through them. But the very last one, the last question at the end of the page, for the property manager specific, has 4 questions. It says, and the property manager has to check this, and it says, is the owner financially stable? Yes or no? The PM has to be able to check that box. Are they financially stable or are they not? So they will have gleaned that information from the conversation, because we don't want to work with a financially unstable owner. If the owner says, gosh, I've got to get this property rented in 2 weeks, or I can't make my mortgage payment, we don't want them, because what's going to happen if we go 2 weeks in a day? Now suddenly they're mad, they don't have any money. We want financially stable owners. That's our first question for our PM. Second question, is the owner emotionally stable? And usually I get a giggle from our PMs when we talk about that. But if you've ever worked with an emotionally unstable client, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. We had that happen yesterday. I had an owner call in, and she was a little bit crazy, and then she was crying about this and upset about that. And I went back to my PM, and they said, yeah, she's always been that way. And I said, well, why are we working with her? We want emotionally stable clients.
Right.
So financially stable, emotionally stable. Number 3, are they, look at my notes here because I pulled them out here. Are they realistic in expectations? And that's a big one as well. We want to make sure that they are realistic in what we're going to provide for them. If they're just not realistic, again, it's not going to be a good fit. And then based upon those 3, the final question for the PM is, can you control this transaction and this owner? And if they can't say yes to those 4 things, then they have the authority from me to not work with that owner. Not only that authority, but I want them to not work with that owner. Because if there's a problem down the road, I'm going to ask them why they chose to work with this owner. So that's where we're going with the conversation, is we're trying to glean that information. Financially stable, emotionally stable, realistic in expectations, and can we control the client and the situation?
Gotcha. And the property manager, it sounds like they'll have to make a judgment call on all 4 of these. So there's probably a subset of questions, right? Or I mean, how do you start the interview? So I get, these are, like you said, these are the 4 last questions, right? Or at least that's the assessment that the property manager needs. I'm sorry?
Yep. That's what we're trying to get to, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the outcome. But how do you expand the call to be able to get that information?
Yeah. So we don't sell. We are a very soft sell company. So when a call comes in, my PMs know this, we're not there to sell ourselves. We're there to listen to the client and determine if we would be a good fit. Now we believe we're the best in town, so obviously we're going to kind of sell ourselves on that. But when they call in, I'm a big believer in shut up and let the client tell you what they need, and then you can determine whether or not you can fit that need, rather than going into sales mode and suddenly trying to convince this person on why we're the best and why they should work with us. And so we typically started off with the first thing I would say is, well, tell me a little bit about yourself and your situation. And it's amazing what people will tell you if you just close your mouth and let them start talking. And so you can glean a lot just from there. When they start talking, well, I'm not working with my current management company. Oh, really? Why not? Well, I'm suing them right now because I didn't like the way they worked. Okay, well, I just found out everything I need to know. Everything I need to know, I just found out by asking that question. So by just asking them about themselves, about them situations, either people are going to go deep and they're just going to talk and talk and talk and talk. So we can glean a lot just from opening that door and allowing them to sell themselves to us a little bit. So that's our first and most important question that we start with that way. After they've talked about that a little bit, our follow-up question to that is, well, if we work together, we want to make sure that we have your end goals in mind. So tell me what both your short and your long-term goals are for the property. Because if they're going to sell it in 6 months, do I want to know that as the PM? Yeah, you bet I do. Or if their long-term goals, well, I want to get 10 more of these properties in the next 3 years. Does that attract me more to the client? Yeah, it sure does. So that's our follow-up question specifically on that is tell me what your goals are for the property.
Gotcha. But so that's good. Those are excellent questions, and they're open-ended questions, right? And they get the prospect talking. How do you overcome what's your fee question? Like if they open with hey, what's your fee?
Most of our folks don't really open with that. 90% of the time, if they open with that, I know we're not going to get the deal because we're not the cheapest in town. I know they're looking for the cheapest in town if they want that. So if they say, well, what is your management fee? I say, well, our management fee, and then I say, well, tell me a little bit about your property geographically and where's it at? I'll be happy to answer your question on what we charge. And then I say, well, we're not the cheapest company in town. If you're looking for the cheapest company in town, we're not it. And in this industry, you're going to get what you pay for. And I don't know if I can quote management fees on your show here, kind of what that looks like. But I'm going to almost shun them and kind of turn them away and say, hey, if that's what your number one concern is, we're probably not going to be a great fit for you because we're going to provide the best service you can find. But we are a premium company. We provide premium service, but we don't come cheap.
What about my advice for this has always been sort of actually give them a range and then ask them, tell me a little bit about yourself and your property. That is an excellent open. I'm definitely aligned on that. But so if you ask me, hey Alex, what is your fee? Say, well, look, our service plans range from $499 to $1,200 a month. It just depends how fast you want to grow your company. So tell me a little bit more about your company and your goals and where you headed.
Yeah, and we're pretty straightforward with that. I mean, for the sake of this example, let's say it's 10%. If someone says, well, what's your management fee? I'll tell them, our management fee is 10%. Now, and then depending on what they say from there, oh, gosh, that's really high, or the guy down the street's cheaper than that, or, oh, that sounds pretty good. I mean, then I'll kind of model my conversation based upon their response to that. But one of our kind of values that way with our clients is we want to be candid. We want to be very, very candid. So if they want to know how much we charge, we're going to tell them how much we charge. We're not going to try to hide that behind a wall somewhere.
Got it. But go ahead.
I had a conversation just a couple days ago. The prospective owner called in, had a great conversation. We talked for half an hour, and they went through all sorts of questions. And then we were getting off the phone. They said, "Okay, well, this is great. Let me review your information. I'll be in touch." And they said, "Oh, by the way, I probably should ask, what do you guys charge?" Now that's the owner I'm going after. Like to him, price was an afterthought. He's an investor. He's got properties. He knows what questions he wants. He wants a good, solid company. So somebody like that's probably who we're going to get. Price is an afterthought to him. Now, are there less clients like that out there? Yes, there are, but that's okay. I will take 2 of those and turn away 5 clients that are pains and hassles and looking for the cheapest in town. Because if you grow your business with those types of clients, that's how you become financially stable. That's what makes business fun.
So I wanted to go back a little bit. We're going to get into some of the more specific methodologies for picking and onboarding the right client. But I wanted to ask you this, Marc. You pointed out something up front. You said, look, as you grow, as your marketing grows, you become a privileged position of picking your owners, right? And I have a lot of clients in this position, and it is a privileged position because you're the first call they're making, right? Or the second, right? Or you're right there on top. What if you're not on top, man? What if your lead flow isn't as, robust? What if you're just starting out? How would you do that? How would you help?
Well, what we did, what I recommend folks do is when they're in that first phase, and their goal at that point is different. At that point, your goal is to get doors. Without doors, you die. I mean, you've got to have income. So in that case, are you going to take some of those questionable owners? Yeah, you're going to have to. That's just the nature of the business. You can't start off turning away 50% of the owners. That you're right. We are at a privileged place, and it's nothing we've done in and of ourselves, other than the fact that we've made a lot of mistakes over 40 years, and we've tripped our way into where we're at. So I'm speaking from that unique position that way. I would not encourage every single company out there. If you're small and just getting started, Don't make it your goal to go start turning people away. That's not going to get you where you need to be. So what we would always do is we would come down in our pricing. We were less than market because that was a way to attract those individuals coming in. But what we found over time is that if you do a good quality job with people and you get them in the door and they like you, it's relatively easy then to start bumping up your management.
Nice.
People are not going to leave over a small, modest increase in management fees. Property management companies and property managers are terrified of that, right? They think everybody's going to go rushing for the doors if someone takes their management fee from 8 to 9% or 9 to 10 or whatever. That just doesn't happen. It absolutely will not happen. And we experienced this a number of years ago, and I remember very vividly one day where we were trying to get our business to the next level. And I was sitting in my computer one day, and I thought, you know what, we're going to send out some management fee increases for the upcoming year. And so I started typing out emails. And I sent one to email, dear Mr. Owner, we appreciate your business. We love you. Our costs of business have gone up. It is necessary for us to have a modest increase in our management fee. Therefore, effective January 1st, 2000, whatever it was, your management fee will be increasing from, I don't know what, from 10 to 12%, whatever.
Sure.
Click return, click send. I thought that was kind of fun. Did another one. Well, I kind of got on a roll, Alex, like a little bit too much of a roll. So next thing I know, like I'm jacking these things up. I mean, I'm getting way aggressive on these management fees. And I went through like every client, every single one of our clients, we bumped up their fee. Now it may have just been going from 10 to 10.5%, right? I mean, not a huge increase, but we needed more cash flow.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I thought, oh my gosh, like what did I just do? I just increased management fees on everybody we have, and some of them were very, very aggressive. And we had zero pushback. We had zero people leave because they don't want to leave. If you're doing a good job, they don't want the hassle of going and finding somebody else and messing with all that. So if you're doing a good job, we encourage companies to do this annually. At the end of each year, take your bottom 20% of owners, look at that 20%. And when I say bottom, that may mean because they're difficult. It may mean because the property is located in a bad area or far away. But for whatever reason, take your bottom 20% and bump up their management fee somewhat. And I really don't think, and I know those owners typically, unless you're doing a terrible job, they're not going to leave.
So let's talk about doing a good job. I'm anxious to talk about your philosophies on some of these things. And specifically, I think customer service is important. And let me preface this by saying that I'm beginning to resent some of the attitude that property managers, even my good friends, property management friends, display towards tenants. I'm beginning to understand that tenant is not, a necessary evil. Tenants are everybody, right? This is like the whole millennial, the whole generation. These guys are high earners. They just don't want to own home. They should not be treated like a second-class citizen. I remember myself, and I think I already had a rant on one of my podcasts. I'm not going to go on the long one, but I remember myself being a tenant, a situation where I was starting a business, had to rent out my own house and become a tenant. I was not treated anywhere in a way that I expected to be. It's okay, I don't hold any grudges, but I'm just saying it's not. It's tough. I think the people who are going to win in this industry are the ones who treat tenants with as much respect and tender love and care as they do owners. What do you think about that?
I agree 110%. That's absolutely correct. That's one of the things that I feel has made us successful is we go in there. So our mission statement, our purpose statement is what we call it, is to improve the lives of real estate investors and residents through property management solutions. And it's not something.
That's awesome, man. That's short and really, really good.
But we don't tack it up on a boardroom wall and refer to it once a year. Like we talk about it every month in our team meeting. Guys, we talked about it today. We had our team meeting today. And I said to our team, guys, we're not in the real estate business. We're not even in the property management business. We're in the improving people's lives business.
Literally,
now,
yeah. Literally.
Is real estate. That's our product to get there. But that's not the business we're in. And you've got to keep that mentality, because when you get that mentality of, hey, we're improving lives. When a tenant calls in and they don't have hot water, and we can get somebody out there that same day to get that hot water fixed, they've got kids who are cranky because they can't get hot water, we just improve that person's life. When we collect a rent and we send it on to an owner, and that owner needs that money because they're retired and they need that money to live, that's a big deal. We just improve that person's life. When we do something as mundane and as normal as a lease renewal, right? We negotiate a lease renewal, get a lease renewal out to the tenant, they sign a lease, they stay in the property, and that lets the kid in that house stay in the same school for another year and not have to change schools and make new friends. Like that, if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, so I don't want you on my team. But we do it every day. That's the stuff we do, and you've got to understand it and think of it that way, because this is a tough business. But if you look at it that way, that man, we're improving those people's lives, that's where your business can really be impactful.
I can't agree with you more. So I think part of the answer here to find your mojo and work with the right owners and make tons of money and have fun, as you say, growing your business, is to find your purpose and communicate it consistently.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. All right, Mark, can you take a pause for a second? I'm going to talk about my sponsor, who's awesome. PM Grow Summit. Guys, if you have not heard of PM Grow Summit, you should check it out at the PM Grow Summit or pmgrowsummit.com. It's a premier conference for the property management entrepreneurs. This is a conference specifically designed for people who are looking to grow their business and need education that's more of advanced to master's level education on how to accomplish that growth. Laser focused on growth strategies, bringing in world-class speakers and thought leaders around the country. I have to say, since I'm a co-founder of PM Grow Summit, I can disclose this. Our speaker budget this year is $70,000. It's a good amount of money to bring really good talent over, so we're excited about the lineup we have this year. And it is the best place to network with the other like-minded, successful, growing property management entrepreneurs. So guys, if you have not registered yet, I highly recommend you check it out and you make your registration because the pricing, we have different tiers in pricing, and the price only going to go up. The conference is on January 31st through February 2nd in San Diego, California. And you can take $100 off your registration by typing my name into the discount field or special promotion code field on Eventbrite when you're booking. And my name is Alex, clearly ALEX. You type that in, you get $100 off. All right, excellent. Mark, you with me still?
Yes, and I'll give you a plug. I was at your PM Grow Summit last year. It was awesome, and I'm coming out again this year. Looking forward to it.
That's highly recommend it. And Mark and I, we discussed a speaking opportunity for Mark. So potentially we're gonna bring him in, next year, as we've sort of had this one pretty much in place. But yeah, Mark, I appreciate that and thank you for the feedback. One other thing, your video is frozen, and those of you guys on audio, who cares, right? You don't care. But your video is frozen. We just keep going with it. Those folks who watch on the YouTube and stuff, that's fine. They can see you know how you look like.
Yeah, it was a good frozen shot of me, so that's all right. They can.
It's actually not bad, man. Yeah, usually it's like
I look intense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's all like cartoonish, but yeah, this looks good. All right, so let's keep going. So this is we're getting into interesting stuff. What about what are some of your customer service methodologies or philosophies?
Yeah. So philosophically, let's talk about our owners again. And one of the things that we're a little bit unique in that I preach to my team and my property managers is we use this philosophy sometimes, and it's a little counterintuitive, but it's don't answer on the first ring. Don't answer on the first ring. And that people are probably going to stop listening to the show right now. They're like, oh, this guy's nuts. What are you talking about? And I get that so much of our industry has to be about speed, right? And I'm all about that. We preach to our team, get back with people promptly. People want fast responses, and we do that. We do fast response. But we need to be realistic, and we are professionals. So let me ask you this, Alex. If you called your attorney right now because you had a legal question, and if he didn't call you or return your call until tomorrow morning, would that upset you? Would that bother you?
I expect that. I mean, if he picks up, that'd be great, but I don't think he would.
Or what about your doctor, right? Like, let's say you called your doctor and you just had a question, not an emergency question, but you had a question for your doctor, and he calls you back the next morning.
Usually the next day, yeah. I get an email back the next day from my doctor.
Right. See, in property managers, we need to think of ourselves as professionals. We're professional property managers. And when you get in that mentality, then that's going to create a positive relationship you have with your owner, and it starts on the first ring. So if I tell my PMs, look, if a call comes in Saturday night from a prospective client and they want to know about our services, do not call them back. I mean, if you've got nothing to do and you're bored sitting there on Saturday night, fine. But don't stop dinner. Don't stop what you're doing. We'll call them Monday. And if they can't wait until Monday, then we don't want them as a client, because we know that they're going to set unrealistic expectations. And every time, Alex, every time, and me personally as well, and this happened to me 2 weeks ago, every time we break that rule, it burns us. We look back and we say, why didn't we follow our own rule?
I want to challenge you on this a little bit, Mark. So
Okay.
Put a pause on what you were going to say, because I need to hear the rest of it. This was just an entrance into an interesting discussion, but put a pause on this one. When somebody calls us on a weekend, we get quite a few inquiries on a weekend. People read the blogs. They're like, oh, I need to hire a marketing company. Boom, I'm going to submit my. So what we do, we let the automation take over. So we actually have our sales director video go out saying, hey, welcome, thank you, here's what we do. All those things. Glad to meet you. Glad to welcome you. Into a conversation with our rep who's going to call you on Monday. Blah blah. So that's kind of how we do it. We have automation. Do you do any of that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm all for the automation, all for that. So if they're on our website and they click, the information, they're going to get a link to a video of me talking about us a little bit. So we're going to automate as much as we can that way. But they may not hear from a live person until the next business day.
But there's a touch. There's a touch and a personal message via the video.
Absolutely.
I believe in that strongly. Yep.
Yep, and that's one of the challenges, and that's why video works so well. I mean, you guys do that so well with your company for folks. We're big believers in that, because that's a way for me to have a personal touch on every single prospect that comes through. We get a lot of leads, and I just can't follow up. Personally, I can't follow up with every one of them. I just can't. But if every one of them gets a video of me talking, just like I'm doing now, telling them a little bit about us, how we work, what we do, what we believe philosophically, it's going to do one or two things. It's going to either it's going to turn them off and be like, yeah, I don't like this guy. In which case, great, go to my competitor, and that's fine. Or they're going to get a little bit endeared to us, right? And you know what else is so interesting, Alex? If I do speak to an owner will call, and they'll get through to me. Oh, there, we're back on there with the.
We get back on the video.
Back on the video.
Patience pays off. Yeah. So your owner, yep, they get to you.
I can tell in the first 10 seconds of the conversation if they've watched my videos online. Because if they've watched my videos online, their demeanor is totally different. It'll be like, hey, Mark, this is Bill. I'm really curious to find out a little bit more about your services. And I saw this. I know that. It's like we're buddies. Like I have to.
Isn't that awesome, man?
Amazing. It's amazing. Versus, yes, I'd like to find out about your services. And
what's your fee?
And what's your fee? Yeah. So if they've watched me, it's created that rapport that only video can do. I mean, if people aren't doing that, whether they're doing it through you guys or on their own, they need to be. They've got to be. You've got to be. It's a necessity today.
See, that's the thing, and I feel that's a tremendous competitive advantage, and it's going to continue to be that. People say, "Well, my competitor does videos." I'm like, "Great. Well, he does, and you do, and maybe one other lady does." And 50 other companies in your market don't. And they'll never will. Because guess what? They always want to hide from their customers. They're not proud of the work they're doing. They're not proud of what they're doing. They want to hide. They want to be on the background. They don't want to be known. And you know what? The customers vote with their dollars. Right? They want to know who they're working with. They don't necessarily need to call you every time, right, Mark? But having seen you, having assured themselves that, hey, man, this is a real guy. He looks legit. He works legit. He talks legit. I might give him a chance.
Yeah, and you're exactly right in that so many, I think, people don't do the videos because they don't think they will sound professional enough. They don't like the way they look. They don't like the way they sound. But clients don't want Hollywood productions.
Oh.
They want real. They want real life. They want to know who they're talking to. So when you have that video and maybe you stutter a little bit or you do whatever, you don't look perfect, that's okay. That's what clients want. They want to work with a real person. So, the first time we started doing this stuff, Alex, I kid you not, I went home to my home office and I was like, this is crazy. We got to get on with it. And by the way, it was after your PM Growth Summit last year. So you inspired me with that.
Yeah,
so we got home and we thought, we had to get this stuff done. So I went to my home office. I got my son, Gabriel. I said, Gabriel, come here. Come into my office. Imagine a little scrawny-year-old, 11-year-old boy sitting on his underwear on my desk in my office with my iPhone. I popped my iPhone out. I was like, here. I stand against the wall. I said, I'm going to talk for 2 minutes. And I don't even really talked about something about, why do property management companies charge so much? I said, hit the record button. And he's just trying to he's like making goofy faces at me, trying to get me to laugh. And I talk for 2 minutes, and he turns it off. And, was the quality great? No, it's an iPhone, which is actually pretty good quality. but it wasn't professional. It didn't need to be. That wasn't the point. I wanted to get going. And so from there, then we got them a little better and got them rolling. But people just need to pull the trigger on it, get it done, bite the bullet. And people say the camera adds 10 pounds. It doesn't add 10 pounds. It adds reality. So just go with that. That's what it adds.
You have the 10 pounds. Just own it. I own it. Dang it. Whatever. It is what it is. So yeah, you're right. And I have an accent, and I have all these insecurities. Believe me, people look at me and it's like, oh, he's got it easy. No, and I don't got it easy. This takes a lot of effort, but you have to believe in what you do. You have to believe and commit to your purpose. And again, going back, finding your purpose. There's people think it's the la la land or whatever kumbaya stuff. It is true. And the companies I speak with, like Andrew Props, like his eyes are shining. Your eyes are shining. This is the kind of business owner that everybody wants to work with, everybody wants to connect to, learn from, and stuff like that. People go through the motions. They're going to end up working with the owners you don't want to work with.
That's right. And they're going to see right through that. If it's totally profit driven, and I mean, I'm a big profit guy,
No
we're
question.
profitable and I'm big on profit, but that's not the primary motivation, right? I mean, I think of profit as oxygen. You don't wake up in the morning and live for oxygen, but you need it to survive. You need profit in your business to survive. But if that's your only motivating force, you're not going to attract quality people. You're not going to attract quality clients. It's going to be very short lived for you.
Awesome. So let's get back. Sorry, we went on this interesting tangent. Let's come back and talk about your customer service philosophy.
Yeah.
I think you had a good beginning, and we went off on a tangent. But
so just more philosophical on the customer service side.
That's right. So, I think you started talking about we started talking about tenants and to care for them, and then owners, and then not answering on the first ring. And then not answering on a Saturday, and then we went on the tangent. But where are you going with that? I'm still not connecting with not answering the first ring. What advantage does it give you?
So, let me tell you the story. A few weeks ago, I was on vacation, took my boys up to Vail, Colorado. Just me and the boys, had a boys' weekend. And so it was Sunday morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was up, the boys were sleeping, and I jump on my phone just to see, and I had an email inquiry that came through to our website from a prospective owner. And she said, I'm in a hurry. I really need this property rented. I thought, you know what? I'm just sitting here. I'm relaxing. I'm gonna impress the socks off this lady. I'm gonna call her right now. She just sent the inquiry. So I dial it, and she's like, "Wow, like that's amazing. I just hit send, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday." And I'm like, "That's how good we are." I'm just playing it up. And so she's like, "I got to get my property rented." And so we sign her up. Well, what expectation did I set by doing that? I set the expectation that when she has a question, I'm going to answer the phone and I'm going to be there. This lady was a nightmare, Alex. She turned into a nightmare because every time she had a question, she expected to get me on the phone immediately. And I set a very unrealistic expectation. If I would have waited, which I should have done, and I don't know if we would have worked there or not, but it's that philosophy. That's why I don't believe in jumping when they say jump. I mean, we'll jump, and we'll jump really high, but we'll jump on our time frame. We will get the job done, and we're going to be the best around. But it goes back to, again, being professionals and being in charge. They need to let us be in charge. They need to let us control the situation, and that starts with the very first conversation. It starts with setting ourselves up, and we use the terminology sometimes as the alpha. We need to set ourselves up as the alpha from the first conversation. And when you've been doing this a while, you can tell. You start talking to someone, and they start telling you how they want you to manage their property, or what they want you to do in their marketing, or they want you to do this or you to do that. That's not going to be a good fit for us. And we'll just tell folks, look, and this is the exact terminology we use. Our system is very much set up for hands-off owners, for owners that just want to let us do what we do. And we will do a great job. I mean, we're the best around at that. But if you're looking to be very involved in the process and kind of partner, we're probably not going to be the best fit for what you're looking for. And we just say it as flat as that. And some folks are like, yeah, okay.
I think it's true for the best services companies. I mean, we're going through the same process. There's we need involvement from clients to make them successful, but we need them to be involved in the sort of framework that we need their advice from. Like, what makes your business work? Who's your right owner? What does a new owner looks like? What does the right owner looks like? In perfect client profile, all these things. And once we have them, we pretty much run. And you're right. When somebody tries to manage, input is great, ideas are great, but when you try to manage your own marketing campaign, it's like, here's a gal, she's been doing it for 3 years. She brought thousands of property management leads to hundreds of companies, and you're gonna tell her how to do the Facebook. I mean, come on, look, let the professionals do their work.
Yeah, and I think part of the challenge in the property management industry is a lot of new people to the industry. That's what we're talking about here, right? I mean, what you said, well, what do the new guys do, the new gals do that don't have that clientele? A lot of those individuals have come out of the real estate sales world. They were realtors, they were agents, and realtors and agents, they've got a different mindset. They've been trained in a different way. They've been trained that if the phone does ring, you better jump on that, because that could be a sale that will run away to somebody else. Mm-hmm. So they are very much, of course they pick up the phone on a Sunday night because that's when their clients are available, and they work weekends, and that's what they do. So to get our property managers who are coming out of a sales mode, to shift them into a professional property manager mode, it is a mindset shift that has to happen for them. Otherwise, that's when they get to the burnout, because they're working 24/7.
I'm with you 100%. So let me ask you this. You run a successful business. Help us out a little bit here. Tell us how your business is structured. I've been playing with structures a lot lately. I just had this awesome podcast, I think is awesome, on squads. I was fascinated by concept. We as a company shifted into squads, and trust me, it was not an easy transition. We were 2 weeks into it. It's very, very interesting dynamic. Changes everything completely, but a lot of fun. How are you structured?
So we've got 18 folks, and we're kind of we're a hybrid. So our property managers are the point of contact for our owners. We are very, very systematized in that all of our team members have what we refer to as KRAs, their key result areas. Those are the things that they are responsible for. Those are the only things they're responsible for. So for our property managers, that's owner relations. If an owner has a question, they're calling the PM. That is their point of contact. Now we pull out leasing. We've got a leasing team. They do all the leasing. We pull out accounting. We've got a director of accounting. She handles all the accounting. We've got a resident services coordinator. It's kind of the first line of defense for all the little ticky-tack resident things. Because I want my PMs, my property managers, to spend their time doing the things that they're most valuable at doing, which is maintenance and turnovers and dealing with owners. And we also filter leads, owner leads. I think you refer to them as your BDM, right? Business Development Manager. We filter those kind of to some of our PMs. So we're kind of a hybrid structure that way. But it works very, very well for us just to pull out the accounting, pull out the leasing, because I don't want my property manager doing accounting. Most property managers are terrible at accounting. So I'm a big believer in giving that to the professional, but yet our property managers are still the direct point of contact for the owner.
Do property managers make more money if they manage more properties? Are they like sort of commission based a little bit, or no?
Our property managers are independent contractors from a structural standpoint.
So 1099s?
Yes, and they are 100% commission based. So when a property manager comes in, they earn a percentage of their portfolio. They earn a percentage of, I think it's 4 pieces of the pie. So they earn a percentage of the management fee that their actual property generates. They earn a percentage of the late fees that property generates. They earn a percentage of the leasing fees, and they earn a percentage of the maintenance income that property generates. So those 4 pieces, they get a piece of each of those.
Gotcha. All right. And then so they're responsible for their own portfolios. And so it sounds like they should be at least hypothetically interested in new business. They should be motivated bringing new business, right?
Depends on the individual. And that's one of the fun things about
interesting. How does that work?
Where we're at. Well, for example, we've got a woman who's been with us for 6 years. We actually bought her company. We bought her property management company. She was a competitor, and she was one of those individuals who was an amazing property manager, amazing, but she was a terrible business owner. We bought her company. We then hired her on as a property manager. So loves just doing the property management side, but we took her business over, took her book of business. So she is a little bit older, and she kids are out of the house, and she kind of is looking towards retirement. So she doesn't want a ton of doors. She wants a lifestyle. And so she wants to manage, and obviously there needs to be a minimum base there, but I think she's managing, 40 doors and doing a little bit of sales as well. But that's fine, because she's a rock star, and we're making income from that standpoint. She's happy. She's great. we're good. I got another property manager, a young gal that started with us not too long ago, and man, she's in growth mode. She's got stars in her eyes. The sky's the limit, and she's awesome as well. But she's working a lot of hours every week because she wants every door she can get. That's because she's young and high energy, and that's what she wants to do, and that's great for her. So from my perspective as the business owner, I just need to make sure that we've got those things hit and they're balanced out. But if we do that well, then I have no problem bringing somebody on who may only want to manage 40 or 50 doors if they're going to be a good fit for our organization.
And I think another piece of it, and you're structured just like my friend Mike Catalano. He's got a very similar sort of situation, and it's been working for him. And with sales side, they can supplement that income quite significantly. I mean, the one sale commission is a good boost.
Yes, it is.
And make good money.
It's huge, yeah. And every one of these owners are going to, at some point, every owner is going to leave. I mean, almost everyone, other than the ones that are generational. So you don't want that. You don't want that to go somewhere else. We want to keep that in house. And nothing drives me nuts more than an owner saying, "Yeah, I'm going to sell," and we say, "Oh, well, can we help you out with that?" And they say, "Oh, I didn't know you guys did sales." We ran into that too often. So we had to be very, very proactive in educating our owners that, hey, this is what we do. We are here for you when you need that. So that was a hurdle to overcome when we decided to really put our all into sales. But it's been good.
Got you. Hey, Mark. So this was a really good conversation. I really appreciate your time today. If people wanted to find out more about what you teach, check out your consulting business, maybe hire you as a coach, what would they go?
Yeah, so the website we have is propertymanagementsystem.org. So propertymanagementsystem.org. And we're focused on a couple things that are on there. Number one is systems. I mean, we're a huge system dependent company. Position specific system manuals. We're big on that. Our other big thing is ancillary business services. We're big on profit. So we have those two things on there, which are big parts of what we do, as well as some educational components. Because I find that in the industry, the biggest frustration and the biggest myth is most property managers think they're the only ones that don't get it. They think everybody else knows how to market, everybody else is successful, but they're the ones. Because when you talk to property managers, they all show their front stage, right? They all share how great it is, but you don't see anybody's backstage. So we've been doing this long enough, and basically we just kind of share the mistakes we've made and help PMs grow.
Got you. And one
ended on your PM Grow Summit there.
Yeah, that was great. I like that play. Do you consult on pricing? Do you consult or coach on pricing modeling? Like, in other words, how do you set up pricing for my company?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so I do some coaching, some one-on-one coaching as well with PMs, and that's a big part of it. I mean, I've got a couple guys right now, and that is their big thing. Is how do I set up my pricing structure? And what I find, and I don't know what you find, Alex, what I find is so often they try to make it too complicated. They want to have tier after tier and option after option, and they don't want to lose anybody, and that's fine if that works for them. I'm a big believer in simplicity. I think clients want simplicity more than anything else. So I want to keep our website simple. I want to keep our sales process simple. I want to be able to explain what our costs are in like 3 sentences. If I've got to go into detail and say, well, you can pick this or pick that, and we've got this bell and that whistle, they get confused. And I want to keep it simple. We've got to make it easy for the consumer to do business with us. So I always preach to my clients that way. Keep your pricing model simple on your new folks coming in. You can always go back to them later, bump them up a little bit if you need to, like we talked about earlier, because they're probably not going to leave. Your goal is to get the good clients in the door. So when a prospect calls in, decide if they fit your model for a client. And if they do, then you go after them. Then you do everything you can to close that deal. And if that means you got to come down in your management fee, come down in your management fee. You want quality tenants. If you're a new guy or new gal starting off, get those quality tenants. You can build them up from a profitability standpoint later, but get them in the door.
Gotcha, Mark. Well, there's a lot of wisdom shared, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. And guys, for you listening, thank you for listening to this podcast. I'm going to do my best to have the new music. So I have professionally recorded. I commissioned an artist to do a music for this podcast. I'm so excited. It's a little bit rock and roll. It's really, really cool. We're still recording the voiceover for the beginning, so I'm changing the music next time. I think that might be a promise there. Anyway, Mark, thank you kindly for your time, and we'll see you at the PM Grow Summit.
Thank you, Alex. I'll leave you with this. If any of your folks are interested in any of the stuff we have on there, and they want to use that promo code Alex, we'll do a 10% off, till the end of the year or whenever anybody jumps on there.
Awesome. And by the way, we do have we work with tons of clients who sort of need a bit of an operational help, and I'm glad we made that connection because we can point them your way. It's a lot of times marketing is not a problem. Marketing is, as Andrew Prop says, marketing is easy. It's everything else that's hard. So, anyways, thanks, Marc.
Thank you, Alex.